are two basic truths when it comes to your money and retirement. First, what got you to retirement isn't necessarily going to get you through retirement. And secondly, losses mean more than gains once you're not drawing that paycheck. The problem becomes, how do you turn retirement savings into a steady flow of income for life? Welcome to the Wealth Guardians radio show, where Doug Ray and Brice Payne have solutions. The Wealth Guardians are local and independent financial advisors that specialize in creating custom plans so you can retire the job and keep the paycheck. Stand by for important information and strategies you can use to transform retirement dreams into retirement reality. Here's your host of the Wealth Guardians show, Doug Ray.
News Talk 94.5 WPTI. You're listening to the Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, helping you to retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm your host, Doug Ray, and with me is Brice Payne. Today, we're talking about how your financial advisor may be dropping the ball, and that could set you years behind your goals for retirement. Hey, Brice, good morning.
Good morning, Doug. Let me start off by saying I am sorry about your Green Bay Packers.
I tell you, being a 60-year fan now, you learn that you have some tough losses with the Packers, but that one takes the cake.
Does it really? Out of all the losses in playoff games, that one was hard.
Yes. The 49ers offense never scored.
They didn't score.
They did not score.
No,
and we lost the game.
Well, believe me, as a Denver Broncos fan growing up in Colorado during the Elway years, especially the early Elway years, I am well accustomed to painful losses. We would win throughout the season, but when it came to the Super Bowl or the playoff times, it was hard. So I felt your pain there. Of course, my Uncle Scott, the Marine, Uncle Scott, thank you for your service. He was very happy because he's a San Francisco 49er fan. But boy, what a weekend of football it was overall.
It really was.
That is one weekend I am not going to forget. And something else that Doug and I are not going to forget is all of you men and women out there who put on the uniform for the Old Stars and Stripes. We want to thank you, as we do every week. You are in our thoughts. Doug, thank you for your service. And again, we appreciate you, and here's our hearty weekend salute to you. So, Doug, what are we talking about for everybody out there today?
Well, we have, obviously, we've seen hundreds and hundreds of people come through here, and they all have financial advisors. Most of them do anyway. And we've really seen some interesting situations. And
there's some stories to tell.
What I thought we would do today is talk about how your financial advisor could really be dropping the ball on you, and you don't even know. For example, if all your financial advisor is doing is just moving, securities around every once in a while, well, you might as well be playing chess. All you're doing is moving a piece on a board every once in a while. That's not planning.
That's not a strategy.
That is not a strategy. Here's something you need to start thinking about. Has your advisor ever asked you to look at your tax returns? Now, Brice, why is that important?
Well, there are ways to mitigate your taxes, obviously, and you want to have a strategy in place, not just a year-by-year strategy, but a long-term strategy. And there are ways that you might not be aware of, but your financial planner should certainly be aware of how to change the structure of your accounts, or to revise the structure of your accounts, or to constantly update them so that you are paying Uncle Sam what you're obligated to pay him, but you're not paying him more than that. And right off the bat, Doug, we can say something like, has your advisor, especially if you're over the age of 72, has your advisor ever mentioned qualified charitable distributions to you? Mm-hmm. If they've never used that term, then, and especially if you are one who's prone to giving charitably, if that term that I just said, qualified charitable distribution, if you don't know what that is, then your advisor is dropping the ball, especially when it comes to taxes.
That's a good point. And remember this case from last year? We had somebody come in, they had over $100,000 of long-term capital losses on their tax return. They also had ongoing long-term capital gains.
I remember who you're talking about.
Their advisor never asked for their return, didn't know they had those losses, so they could sell some of those stocks that they had the gains in and offset it with the losses.
Yep.
You're just leaving an asset, a loss, a capital loss on your tax return can be an asset to help you offset taxes in the future with gains.
Now, we're not CPAs ourselves, but we are both retirement income certified professionals, which means that we have a basic understanding and have gone through some classes on taxes and retirement. And there's a lot of tricks out there that did not exist when you were a working person that now exist for you if you're retired, that your financial planner should be a retirement specialist and should be sitting down with you and telling you how to revise your accounts and revise your tax filing strategies so that, just like I said earlier, you're paying Uncle Sam what you're obligated to, but no more than that.
Well, speaking of cost, the next one on the list is not evaluating the fees and the cost in your portfolio. And Brice, you do that on every single case we see. We've got the software, and that actually will dig deep and find all the fees that you don't know you're paying. Brice, tell them about what you're doing there.
So our planning process, Doug, is generally a 4-meeting planning process. The first meeting is the discovery meeting, and the second one is what we call the eye-opening meeting. And one of the reasons that it wasn't even you and me who came up with that term. It was after the fact that a number of clients said to us, boy, this is really eye-opening. We realized we should be calling that meeting the eye-opening meeting. And one of the things that we do in that second meeting is we have put your current portfolio through a microscope on fees. And I've yet to have somebody come to us when we run that plan and them saying, yeah, I was already aware of this, or yeah, my other advisor has already done this with me. Never once have we had somebody say that to us. And more often, somebody is saying, wow, I was not aware of this. This is really eye-opening. What we do is when we take your portfolio, we run it through a number of different analyses, a risk analysis, a fund analysis, and a fee analysis. And that fee analysis shows you, based on all of your accounts, whether it's a 401k, a Roth account, an IRA, a SEP, an inherited IRA, whatever your accounts are, we break down the fees in there and show you how much you are paying percentage-wise and dollar-wise, year in and year out, on all of your accounts. And normally, that comes to be between 3 and 4%. I'd say about 80% of the time, that is between 3 and 4%. Another 15% of the time, it's higher than that. And a couple times a year, it's lower than that, particularly with somebody who does their own investing. But you want to have a full understanding of what fees you're paying. Growth is only one part of the game. Eliminating fees is the other part. And if your advisor, your financial planner is just focusing on the growth aspect of your portfolio, then if we hadn't take it back to the football analogy, Doug, you're only playing offense and you're not playing defense. No coach is out there saying, I only believe in offense. Why? Because he'd never be hired by the NFL. So we want to focus on both the offense and the defense, and we want to help you eliminate as many fees as possible. Now, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardians, and we're talking today about when and where financial advisors drop the ball. I'm Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. And when we're talking about dropping the ball, what we mean is your financial advisor overlooking something that could mean that you don't get to retire when you thought you would retire, when you wanted to retire, or that you don't get to spend the type of money or live the type of retirement or have the security that you had thought you had worked for and saved for in retirement. You didn't drop the ball in saving. Why should your advisor be excused in dropping the ball and helping you plan for all of the hurdles that might come your way in retirement? And Doug, we've got a seminar coming up that fits in beautifully with this.
Well, it really does, especially with the times right now.
So with the seminar that we've got coming up, it's Retirement Success in Turbulent Times, and talk about a fitting time for us to have this seminar. This is the first time we've done this specific seminar. And it's Thursday, February 10th. And Tuesday, February 15th. You only have to attend one of those. And we're inviting you personally to give us a call, 336-391-3409. It's 336-391-3409 to give us a call and to register. You do have to register to attend, and obviously, like everything, seating is limited. But I know that there is going to be really helpful information at this seminar to help you realize where your advisor might be dropping the ball, or if you don't have an advisor, why you don't want to try to go into retirement without that professional guide going in there. You can also visit us at our website, thewealthguardians.com. But again, the phone number one more time, 336-391-3409. Our seminar is in Clemens at our office space in the Broyhill. 336-391-3409, Thursday, February 10th, and Thursday, February 15th. Now, let's get back to it one more here before we go to break, Doug. Another way that a financial advisor might be dropping the ball for you, discussing and planning retirement income.
Well, that's extremely important because obviously, you've stopped getting that paycheck. You've got to recreate the paycheck. And everybody comes in to us and we sit down and we show them the planning, the process, and then the next stage is, well, how am I getting my money? So that's what the planning's all about. That's how we get the monies as tax efficient as we possibly can from the right account so you're not paying more than your fair share in taxes. We show you how we stage it into your checking account via EFT from the various accounts. We even can have taxes withheld just like you're doing in your paycheck. So that is a very, very important part of the overall planning process.
It really is. And if your advisor, let's say that you've got a pension out there, a pension option, you're getting ready to retire, and your advisor has never sat down and helped you evaluate what type of pension options you have and which one makes the most sense for you, a lump sum, a single life payout, a payout with 100% to the survivor, what is the percentage that monthly payout would be if you give up the lump sum option? If your financial advisor or planner has not talked to you about that, then they're just an investment advisor or a broker, and there is a world of difference, and we want to help you through that. Again, 336-391-3409. Doug, are you ready? It's time for our trivia question.
Okay, hit me with it.
All right, it's time to see if we can stump Doug.
It's time for the Wealth Guardians Trivia Question of the Week.
Doug, according to a 2009 Sports Illustrated research, what percentage of NFL players go bankrupt or experience significant financial stress after they leave the NFL?
Oh, my gosh. It's a lot. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
This is Brice Payne, and with me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. You're listening to The Wealth Guardians with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne, along with Doug Ray, and we are talking about where financial advisors drop the ball and why you do not want that to happen to you. Now, before we go back into our topic, let me ask you a question. Are you 5 to 7 years from retirement? If you are, congratulations. But do you want to confirm that you're actually making the best decisions for yourself for retirement? Well, if you do, then I've got great news for you. We offer a no-cost, no-obligation second review so you can learn how to retire the job while keeping the paycheck. We're talking about sports analogies here, and the ball is in your court. You got to pick up the phone and call us. We can't reach out and call you, and it's very easy to do. You just pick it up, and the numbers you punch in are 336-391-3409. 336-391-3409. Like I said, no cost, no obligation other than your time to come in and sit down with 2 retirement certified income professionals and see how we can help you retire the job and keep the paycheck. You can also visit us online at thewealthguardians.com. We meet with around 50 to 75 families a year, and we'd love for you to be one of those families. Now, getting back to our trivia question.
It's time to get Doug's best guess on today's trivia question.
Doug, let's see if we stumped you here. According to a 2009 Sports Illustrated research, what percentage of NFL players go bankrupt or experience significant financial stress after leaving the NFL?
Well, I don't know the exact percentage. I'll say this. I'm going to guess it's pretty high. The average longevity for a ball player in the NFL is only about 3 years, Most of the time, these kids come in, get a big wad of money up front. They don't know how to manage it, don't know how to take care of it. So I'm going to say it's going to be probably 50 to 60%.
Yeah, we'll give you that one. It's actually 78%.
Higher than I thought.
So a lot of them actually claim bankruptcy, but a lot of them are in such dire straits that they would qualify for bankruptcy even if they hadn't actually. 78%. So talk about financial planners not doing their jobs. You know, a lot of times, as you said, these are kids. They've lived off mom and dad for their whole lives. They've worked the last 4, 5, or 6 years in college, worked the dickens off. Now they've got a lot of cash to spend. It's hard to not go berserk with that. And you think this is going to last me for decades. And for the majority of players out there, it doesn't. You're in there for a few years. You hadn't really probably done a lot of saving despite what your agent or your advisor has encouraged you to do, but that's a good guess, and that was pretty close enough for our work. Yeah.
So I got a quick trivia for you. I got a good friend in Charlotte.
That's not the way this show works, Doug.
Well, you're going to like this one.
All right.
So Brian played on the first Clemson national championship team. He was a right tackle. He got drafted by your Denver Broncos the year before Elway, and talking about short careers in the NFL. Brian said his whole entire career from the time he was, in junior high up through college, he was just a dominant player. Mm-hmm. And he told me, he said, when I got to the NFL, I got dominated. He lasted 1 year in Denver, got traded to Tampa Bay, lasted a year there, and then he was out of the league. Story ends well. Brian was an electrical engineer from Clemson, started his own business, and he's done very well.
Excellent. I like to hear those happy endings. Yeah, it's not a lot of people that, even if their talent lasts, their body doesn't necessarily last that long. Yeah. And you are playing the best of the best college players when you go into the pros. All right, so we're going to continue our conversation here, Doug, where financial advisors drop the ball. We've already talked about reviewing tax returns. If your advisor doesn't do that, that could be really hurting you as far as paying more money to Uncle Sam than you need to. The second one we talked about was evaluating the fees and cost in your investments, and how a majority of people who come in to us have no idea what kind of fees they're paying, and how we can cut those fees more often than not by at least half. The third one we discussed was planning retirement income. Okay, so what we're moving on to now is clarifying the target and goal for each of your invested dollars. Very key.
Yeah, to me, this is simply designing a retirement roadmap. In other words, if your advisor has not put in front of you a plan that carries you to and through retirement and shows you year by year where your money is coming from, your cash flow or replacing that paycheck, plus on the other side of the ledger, how much money you have left, then essentially you're flying blind. And we put together a plan that shows you that every year. It's based upon your standard of living. That's your budget, plus a COLA adjustment every single year. COLA's cost of living. You've got to factor inflation in there. If you don't do these things, if your advisor's not doing this for you, you may end up running out of money when you're 72 or 82 and not even know you're in danger until it happens. So you need to know and have those goals outlined every single year in retirement. In fact, our goal is to show a person a retirement plan that gets them through retirement to age 100, maintaining their standard of living without running out of money.
Doug, you hit on a hot topic there for a second that I don't want to overlook. Maybe you're spending, and without having a clarified target and goal for each of your invested dollars could mean that you run out of money before you run out. Like you said, 72 or 85, whatever that age is. I want you to think about that for a second. Put yourself in that situation where you are 82 years old and you didn't know this was coming, and all of a sudden you're out of money, or you're going to be out of money in a year. What does that mean to your life? Do you have a mortgage currently? Does that mean you won't be able to pay your mortgage anymore? Does it mean that the Social Security that you're getting is only going to cover some of your bills, and you don't know where the rest of the money is going to be coming from? Certainly at 85, that doesn't mean you don't want to go back to work, if you even could go back to work. Does that mean that you're giving your kids a call, or your brother a call, or your neighbors a call? What does that mean to your life if you run out of money before you run out, that is a situation you do not want to have happen to you. And that is what Doug and I help everybody who comes in here make sure, whether it's in our initial planning process or in our annual reviews with our clients that we have with all of our clients once a year. We go and update their retirement plan with all the updated numbers and goals and objectives, and we help you make sure that you are staying on what I call the critical path through retirement. And that is just something you don't want to happen. Just take a minute and think about that. That opens up a whole world of possibilities, and none of those possibilities are good places to end up. Let's move on to the next one, Doug. Reviewing family goals and legacy plans.
So this is kind of the opposite of what we were just talking about. Obviously, this situation, they're going to end up with some monies left over. Every single plan that we put together, that happens. You know, some people have more money left over than others, but then have you thought about what are you going to do with that money once you're gone? You know, you can't take it with you. Do the kids get it all? If so, how are you going to give it to them? Are you going to stage it in to them? You know, a charity. Are you charitably inclined? How many charities? How should you best give this money to a charity? Should you do it all at the end of life, or should you do it along the way? A lot of things that you have to think about. If your financial advisor is not asking you these questions, then what are you going to do? I mean, it's going to come at some point in time where you're going to have to make a decision. It's best to go ahead and plan for it now rather than 20 years from now when it's the situation is not what it is right now. Let's put it that way.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardians, and today we're talking about where financial advisors drop the ball. I'm Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray, and we really want you to understand and appreciate the impact that not having a proper financial plan by a professional, retirement certified income professional could mean for you. And we've been talking about discussing and planning retirement income, clarifying the target and goal for each of your invested dollars, reviewing family goals and legacy plans. Doug, when we were just talking about that one, you said maybe one of your goals is to leave your kids some money, and how are you going to leave them the money? One thing that you left off there is, do you expect your kids, is leaving them money, is that going to be a tax burden for them? Is there a way for you to structure your account so if and when you do leave them money, it's with as little tax implications as possible? Because the last thing you want to do is leave your kids or your grandkids a large sum, and all of a sudden that puts, believe it or not, a burden on them to tackle some taxes that you didn't think that they would ever have to be subjected to. That's another thing that could happen to you or your kids. And, you know, you obviously want to plan for your spouse as well. So there's a lot of ways in reviewing your family goals and legacy plans that could keep you out of hot water and keep your charity or your kids out of hot water as well. All right, let's move on to number 6, Doug.
Before we do that, Brice, I just want to mention something to everybody. You know, January's been tough on you. I mean, you've been smacked in the nose pretty good if you've looked at your retirement accounts and your IRAs and 401ks lately. We've got a workshop coming up that I think you ought to attend. It's called Retirement Success in Turbulent Times. It's Thursday, February the 10th at 6:30, and then again Tuesday, February 15th at 6:30 in Clemens in the Broyhill, where we do most of our workshops. To attend, all you have to do is call us at 336-391-3409, 336-391-3409. We're going to show you things about how we can actually define for you the risk you're taking in your portfolio and how your portfolio would react in a 2008 type downturn. We're going to show you how we actually dig out all your hidden fees and cost in this workshop. So it's something you definitely want to attend, especially now. I think this is going to be a very turbulent year. So again,
You've been saying that for a while.
February 10th and 15th, 6:30, Broyhill in Clemens, 336-391-3409.
You do have to call and register, folks. All right, Doug, you know, one of the questions that we ask our clients, we're going on to number 6 now. in our initial meeting, we asked them to evaluate on a scale of 1 to 10 a whole bunch of different topics so we can help prioritize what's most important to them. And one of the questions that we asked them is providing for your spouse after passing. How important is that to you? 1 being not important at all, 10 being extremely important. Where do almost everybody land on that particular question?
It's a 10.
It's a 10. Mm-hmm. What is one of the key ways that you help assure that your spouse is financially protected if you were to pass early? Long-term care.
Long-term care, absolutely.
There's 2 types of long-term care. Doug, tell us about them.
So you've got the asset-based long-term care, and then you've got the old-fashioned long-term care. If we can model in an asset-based plan for you, that's the way to do it. But folks, if your advisor's omitting long-term care, that discussion is not doing you a favor at all. Because let me tell you something. You may sit here and think, oh, she's going to take care of me or he's going to take care of me. That's not going to happen. Trust me. When you're 80 years old, you're not going to be able to pick your wife up out of bed and take her to the bathroom and do all those things for her. You're going to need to have a discussion about long-term care.
And we would love to have that conversation with you. Our number one last time, 336-391-3409. 336-391-3409. That is all the time we've got this week. We certainly look forward to seeing you here again this week. Doug, you have a great weekend.
You too, Brice. Take care.
This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI.